Okay, we're back. We're doing this again because we said a prayer that technology wouldn't mess up, but it messed up. It was doing some crazy stuff. Welcome to Women of Worth. I'm here today with my dear friends Whitney Larson and Sarah Fowler, and I'm so excited to have them because they truly are women of worth. Please make sure you comment where you're watching from. I love that our community is global and that women from all over the world get to be a part of this beautiful winter wonderland Christmas backdrop. This is not how my house would look if we were doing a live from my basement and my little wah-wah tree. So I'm so thrilled to share this story with all of you because I think it's a perfect Christmas story. I've thought a lot about Sarah and Mary the last few weeks and how our Savior's mama was likely cheering both of you on. So without giving too much away, I hope you can hear some gurgly sounds in the background. That's not to ruin the ending of the story, but the good news of all of this. And so I'm going to turn the time over to Sarah to start with a little bit what happened. How many weeks ago was it? 6 weeks ago, and that's kind of miraculous too, but we'll tell you why in just a minute, right? Yep. So 6 weeks ago, Sarah was a beautiful gestating mother with her third. And what happened that morning?
I was 30 weeks pregnant and woke up that morning. My tummy was tight. I thought I was sick. Got up. It was like 8:30. At about 9:30, I was Googling Braxton Hicks contractions.
And you're a nurse, so to give context, that
never
you probably
done
know
baby
too
stuff,
much, right?
But,
right?
Always did adult ICU, and I was like, these don't seem like Braxton Hicks. They're too long. So finally, at about 10:30. Backstory a little bit. I had been sick over the weekend. I'd lost my voice. I had really bad laryngitis. So I couldn't
speak
at
all.
Virtually no voice.
Couldn't talk.
Yeah.
So at about 10:30, I tried to call my husband who had left town at this time. So he was out of town in Arizona.
It makes for all great movie
I know.
Right?
And he was like, I can't hear you. If you need something, you need to call a friend. So I text Whitney and I said, I need you to come over and call my doctor. And that was at 10:30. She headed over. And I had her call my doctor. He actually said, we'll call you back. After we talked to the
nurse on call.
Yeah, nurse on call. We'll call you back.
Said, let us get the main doctor to call you back.
Yes. And then Whitney called my dad.
Who's an OB, right?
Yes, he's an OB.
He's an OB. And I just explained the symptoms again to him. And he was, saying Sarah's probably severely dehydrated. And she, they're probably definitely going to send her in, just give her some fluids and things like that to slow.
And there were some obvious things happening physically, not to traumatize our audience that doesn't want the detail. But for all the mothers who have given birth, there was an obvious sign that this was seriously happening.
And I started shaking a little bit.
How many weeks were you pregnant?
30 weeks.
So early. Too early. This is not when we planned it, right?
Yes, and I started shaking, so that's also a sign of labor.
So,
yeah.
See, look at you come to Women of Worth
and you learn. So
my
dad told Whitney, get her to the hospital and make sure you drive. At this point, I was walking around the kitchen. I felt okay.
Yeah. Because obviously the viewers don't know Sarah's personality.
Yes,
Sarah's very independent.
She's very
and so
for her dad to say, Whitney, take her and don't let her drive. It's because Sarah would how about we just go to Costco first and get a few things.
And in hindsight, I felt that was very spiritually prompted. That he said, he specifically used my name, Whitney. Don't let her drive herself.
Yeah, divine intervention hand points here, and this is one of them. So you guys get in the car.
Yeah. And so first I'm like, no, I'll just go. You stay home with our plethora of children that are running around.
Because between the two of them, there's at least 4 kids.
Yes.
Right? Was there only 4 that?
Four born.
Yeah. Whitney still has one.
One in utero. Another about to come out.
Yeah.
So finally she says, no, your dad told me that I need to drive you. What if something happens? So we finally get in the car. We get another neighbor to babysit, and we head out at about 11 o'clock. So it's very fast time.
Yeah.
And we head towards the freeway. The hospital we're trying to go to is about 30 minutes away.
Yeah. And our exit from our neighborhood, we all live right by each other.
Yeah.
The exit to get on is under constant construction.
So we get sitting in traffic trying to get on the freeway.
And what happened when you got to that point and you realized, because you can all realize if we had music playing right now, it would start getting suspenseful.
I was braced against the car.
And you were in major labor and you're driving and you're like, expletives.
So Sarah, we're in traffic trying to get onto the freeway, and Sarah's I can tell she's starting to kind of lose control. She's like, we need to call an ambulance. You know, I'm so scared. Like she's crying a little bit, you know what I mean? And by the way, this is all like whispering because I'm so scared.
She has no voice. She can't talk and you're trying to drive.
And I'm like, you know what? Let's just pray. And so like, I just grabbed her hands, and I mean, we're at a total standstill. And so I'm not even driving. I just grabbed her hands and I just said a quick prayer and just said, Lord, like, please bring Sarah peace. Help us to get to the hospital. Help the baby to be okay. And just a little, like, inside our minds, we are not thinking the baby's going to be born.
Right.
No. We're going to the hospital to make the labor stop.
I'm even thinking they're going to give her the medicine, like the medicine that slows down your contractions.
The medicine.
Yeah. And then she's going to maybe be on bed rest for a bit.
Yeah. But you can feel her anxiety. You're feeling stressed
She's starting to, and I'm like, I need to take control of the situation. We're going to pray.
And if you know Whitney's personality, this is who you want to call. I was going to say, I told her right before we went live, if I ever rob a bank, this is who you call.
The getaway car.
And whoever is in labor that they don't think is labor, it's Sarah. Like, it is very divinely orchestrated. And I think one pause here in the story, you think to pray. And I think that's important for our audience to realize is that we don't always want to pray in the moments we need to pray. We are trying to take care of things, take over, fix it, whatever. And I love that no matter what was coming out of your mouth or going in your mind, you were like, we're going to pray.
Well, and out loud. Not like, I think a lot of times prayer is like a private thing for us, and we pray in our heart. But I think sometimes our prayers out loud can be the most powerful, where, you know what I mean?
I love that our neighbor is watching, like Ashley Deegan just came on. So you get on the freeway finally, and by the, so we're at about, if anyone's familiar with Lehigh area and Adobe building, that's where we're trying to get, you're trying to get on the freeway, but you're trying to get to 53rd South, which is in Murray. And so at what point on the freeway, this is key, how many minutes have you been in the car? And you're going back and forth in your mind, should we call the ambulance, should we not? And Whitney, you were so smart. Was it you that said?
Well, probably around 114th, I was like pedal to the floor. Because she is like, not even talking, face white, just bracing against the car.
like
so glamorous.
Yes.
She is like full blown bracing, and she's like, you have to go faster. You have to go faster.
Go fast.
And I'm kind of like, okay, we need. And so I mean, my brothers in hindsight were like, the most impressive part of the story is that your van reached 150 miles per hour. So,
for all the minivan mothers of the planet, this is why this is the Women of Worth story, right? The minivan is floored, and is
the van is floored.
And you're literally like reproducing the birthing chairs of the old days, right? Basically, that's as much as we maybe want to share. Is that you're bracing and you're in full labor at this point.
And so the next thing we know, we're at about 90th South, which is like 8 minutes away from the hospital still. Whitney looks over, I'm pulling my seatbelt off, pulling my pants down, sorry, a little bit much.
Everyone knows how a baby gets out,
and Whitney's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I reached down.
She's like, help me. And I'm like, no, we're almost there, wait. But you could see the baby's head.
And I reached down, and there was a head in my hands. And Whitney told me later, I kind of stood up, and the baby fell down below me onto the seat of the car.
Yeah. Can you guys imagine the emotion of that moment where you have literally now
panic, I would say.
You're just giving birth literally in the front seat of the car
at 30 weeks.
At an
infant that's lungs doesn't work.
And you know this as a nurse, and the baby is not moving.
Yeah, so Wendy's like, grab the baby. So I grab the baby, and I tell her to call 911. So she's driving 115.
And we don't pull over.
No.
All this is happening while I'm still like
and you're on your horn, right?
Not yet.
Hi, Maddie.
Not yet.
Yeah, all of our neighbors are signing on.
I'm still just like swerving in and out of lanes, going as fast as I can. And
at this point, not to share what you don't want to share, you knew you weren't driving.
Well, it's more in hindsight when I look back and I'm like, how did we get from when the baby was born to when we exited? I don't even know how we got there.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about like any freeway in the middle of the day. It's not like it was empty.
No,
you know what I
it's
mean?
crowded.
It was
It's
crowded.
never
It's
empty.
crowded.
And the ability to be driving that fast, I'm just like, I wasn't driving.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I wasn't driving.
There were
And-
angels in that van helping you
Yeah.
guys get there. And so you're on the phone with the hospital, Whitney.
Yeah.
And what are they saying to
They
you?
don't know she's a 30-weeker. And
Oh.
so I
This
said...
happens a lot to full-term
they
babies.
said a
that
couple
women
times a
labor
year,
too
women
long.
labor too long.
They're like,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to do
They
the
have the baby in the
vacuuming
car.
and then go to the
Yeah.
hospital and I give birth in the
Yeah,
car.
and so I say, they tell us, I say, my friend just had a baby in the car, because again, Sarah can't talk. And they say, pull over and wait for an ambulance. And I'm like, no.
We both were like, just go.
I'm like,
We
no,
just
we're
have to
too
go.
close. We're not pulling over. Just tell us what to do to keep the baby alive until we get to the hospital. And they're like, okay.
They say a really cool tip here, right? I think it needs to be shared about where you held the baby.
Yeah,
yeah.
because I'm thinking, Sarah, put the baby on your
Hold the
chest.
baby. But no, they told me to hold it between my legs, keep it low so that my heart can pump blood out to the baby through the
Yeah.
cord.
Because
So
the
that the
baby's
cord-
still attached to
Yeah.
Sarah through the
So
umbilical
they
cord.
also said wrap the baby up. The baby needs to stay warm. So of course I'm going to grab that blanket I brought. No,
There's no
So-
blanket.
no
There's
blanket.
no towel.
There's a wallet that has an insurance card. That's,
That's
the only thing
it.
we thought to bring.
Because you
But-
got in the car thinking we need to stop labor, not
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah,
give
We
birth.
didn't even know we were in full labor.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling down my sweats, trying to wrap them around the baby.
The baby, yeah.
Holding the baby, and the baby at first made some noise, but then she got really quiet. And later, Whitney and I have talked about that we didn't know if she was alive at that point, and it was a really scary moment.
Yeah.
Then, as we pulled into the hospital,
You're laying on the horn. They can hear you on
Yeah,
the
I
phone.
just pulled into oncoming traffic because it was a green light, you know, and I was like, we don't have time to wait for this. And so I'm just slamming
Do
on the
you
horn and
see
saying,
the
stop,
movie
stop.
scene here?
You know what I mean?
And
we
then
made
they
a
pull
left
up.
turn
Yeah.
through oncoming traffic, and as we pull into it's a big hospital complex, and we pull in, and they're like, 911 got in contact with the hospital, and they're like, come to the emergency room, but we didn't know where the emergency room was, so I'm
Yeah.
like, just go to labor and delivery. And I look down, and the baby, she opens her little eyes, and she like moves her little hands, and I'm like,
we're like,
she's
she's
alive,
alive,
I'm
she's
like,
alive.
go,
Yeah.
go faster. So we finally
You know.
pull up to the hospital.
I
and-
drive all the way up to the front door
and no one's there.
on the
No
curb.
one's waiting.
No one's waiting.
'Cause they all
On the
ran
curb
to the
because
ER.
Whitney
We're all in
is
the
your
ER.
getaway driver.
Yeah. I jump out, run in like a crazy lady, and I'm just screaming in the
Screaming.
entryway, help, somebody
Hi,
help
Aubrey.
me, help me, help me.
And you're holding the baby between your legs.
She's still in the car.
Yeah, I'm in the car.
And
sitting
consequently, there was like a huge family in there waiting for a baby to be born, I'm assuming. This poor teenage girl standing next to me, and I'm like, my friend just had a baby in the car. And she's like, And a nurse
there.
comes
So
out.
finally the labor and delivery nurses come
Yeah,
out.
yeah. A nurse comes out finally, and they come out, and they just cut the cord. and-
secretary of the labor and delivery unit cut the cord. We
Yeah.
found it later.
Yes.
And then the labor and delivery nurse grabbed the baby and just sprinted to the NICU.
Yes.
And is that when they heard her, or did they yell back at you that she moved or cried, or what was
No,
No.
it was a few days later. Right?
No, so then, we'll go there. Then I was just sitting there, waiting.
And you still need to deliver the placenta.
Yes. So finally they come out with some blankets for me to cover up.
Which is nice.
Yes.
Right? Women of worth. Women of worth.
I'm trying to shield Sarah because there's like
For privacy.
there's onlookers.
Yes.
There's a ballet man.
There's a
standing
ballet
about
man
10 feet away,
observing,
Oh
like
who
my
I
jaw
had to see
drop.
every day for the next 3 months.
Hey, BFF that knows me
Hey,
really
ballet
well.
guy, yeah.
And then they wheeled me in and took us in and delivered the placenta, and the doctors were there, and it was very calm at that time, but
Very calm.
mentally I was very prepared for them to come in and tell me that the baby hadn't made it.
We didn't
just
know if
due
she
to
was
the
alive.
circumstances.
At 30
So
weeks in the car, how many minutes really had she gone without oxygen?
5 minutes
it probably took us 5 minutes
Yeah.
to get to the hospital,
We-
and then a minute or
we-
so to get.
to get her intubated.
Thank you,
Yeah.
yeah.
We timed it from when we made the 911 call, which was right at 11:30. So we
Yeah,
were like,
and we
okay,
got
she's
to the
probably born at
hospital
11:29,
5.
and then they checked back, and we were there at 11:35. So almost like 6 minutes.
So then finally the doctors, the NICU team came in and told us that she was doing well and she was okay, and
but she was
she
alive.
would have a little bit of a long
Yeah.
road, but she was doing well.
They told you originally that she would come home at How
They
many
always
weeks?
tell you your due date. So my due date was December 29th, so in a couple more weeks.
So do you want to go?
So yeah, hold on.
So guess what? Guess who came home last week, right?
Yeah, she's been home a week today, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
And Whitney and I have talked about this. Sarah and I maybe haven't yet, but that the bond that has developed, you were already good friends,
Yes.
but the bond that you feel with Sarah and the sisterhood and the connection when you share something like this that is this traumatic, right?
Yeah. I was saying to Sarah, I mean, afterwards, the week after.
This
here she is.
This is baby Kate.
Say hi.
Baby Kate is home.
sketchy.
She's
She's
been home
sketchy.
for a week, and she was not supposed to be home for a couple
No,
more
so
weeks.
she's-
So
you can tell she's wearing oxygen. She might have to wear that for a couple more weeks. Hopefully not
she's
too much
beautiful.
longer.
She's
But
beautiful.
yeah, she's doing good. She was. Oh, you're probably all wondering her weight.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's
How much did she weigh
so
when you
she
had her?
weighed 3 pounds 7 ounces.
Yeah. Which she seemed big to us.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
at 30 weeks, I'm thinking she's going to be a pound and a half, or
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
She seemed
And
very
and when
developed.
in those 6 minutes we were in the car, I was, oh, that's her oxygen.
And that's her oxygen, and we do it real here.
Yeah.
So
I kept saying, Sarah, she's big. She looks big. She looks good.
Oh, she's so
Just
I'm gonna excuse. We don't
You
need to
don't-
see me. We need to see that.
you don't really
baby.
know what to expect when you're going to see, I think, a 30-weeker.
Yeah,
You know.
And now, how much does she weigh now, Sarah?
now she's 5 pounds 4 ounces. So
Look
she's
at
getting
that
so big.
chunky chunk.
Yeah,
and
she
she's home
is-
for the holidays.
Yeah, home for the holidays.
And I think this is such a powerful example to me of why, first of all, women need women, right?
you need friends. You need girlfriends.
Yeah,
You never know when
and
you're
your
gonna
husband, when you got
Yeah.
on the phone with your husband,
Oh yeah, I
right?
forgot that.
And
geez.
everybody was crying,
Her
like,
poor husband.
come home,
Yeah.
you have to come home. And he was
At
in
that
Arizona,
point,
right?
I felt like
or Texas, where was
He was in
he?
Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona. Okay.
I felt like during the whole drive, I'm just like literally once Kate was born, I'm just out loud saying, Lord, please let this baby live. Like, Lord, please get us to the hospital. Like, intermittently swearing as well because I'm
Yes!
just panicking.
Listen to me. I wanted her to shout that out. Because the truth is that sometimes we tell these faith promoting stories and we're like, oh, and then I went to the temple.
so perfect.
And I had my journal out and
No,
then
no,
I
no.
got inspiration. No, you're driving and cussing.
I'm cussing. Oh my gosh, you just had a baby in my car. Oh Lord, please let this baby live. What's happening?
Cuss, exclamation point, hashtag cuss word, and then
Yeah.
prayer.
Yeah.
And guess what? Big takeaway from today. Just
Yeah.
talk to God. He
Yeah.
is your best friend. And he has a really great sense of humor.
Yeah.
And he's totally like, validation. Why are you cussing? Of course you're cussing.
Yeah.
Because it's scary. So I
Yeah.
love this. And I love this baby. And I love this time of year. And I'm going to say something too. Sarah, maybe you can comment on this before because we're already way over our time. But that's fine. I don't care.
It's a great story.
It's a great story. I think there's things like this. I know our ward because we're in the same ward together, and I know that when we have opportunities to minister to each other, how it creates a connection and bond. And now Sarah had how many weeks? 6 weeks of going up to the
Yes.
hospital
I
to
have
see her
had
baby.
more help than you would
Yeah.
ever know. I mean, just the amount of love in our neighborhood and our ward.
And your
has
other
been,
two
phenomenal.
kids have needed help with
Yes.
childcare.
I've had meals every week,
Yes.
multiple nights a week. So
And I think that's
Yeah.
such an important point that sometimes God says to Sarah, I trust you with this experience, but it's not just for you. It's going to be for Whitney. It's going to be for our ward and neighborhood. It's going to be for others so that they see the power of prayer, of sisterhood, of ministering. And I think that's important to realize is that he trusted both of you with this story to happen. And thank you both for being here. Any
You're
last
welcome.
thoughts before we say goodbye?
we are just glad she's here, and we're just so glad for friends.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
Yes. And Whitney, you're due when?
Oh, yes.
February.
With a little girl, so
Which they were a little sad
Baby.
because they were
Yes.
due closer together, and now Kate had to get ready for your baby,
Yes.
right?
I always say she senses her best friend.
Yes, that's true. So thank you for joining us, and we're so excited for this month of Light the World and the messages that are coming. Next week we have a wonderful treat. Hillary Weeks will be on. I will be driving to the airport to get my missionary, and I just said that without crying because I feel like I'm about to give birth, but it's to a 6'7" missionary who's
different,
turning
yeah.
21 tomorrow. It's his birthday tomorrow. So anyway. Anyway, so
Happy
I
birthday,
won't be
Cameron.
with you, but the amazing Hillary Weeks will be here sharing a Christmas message with music. Thank you both for being my friends and for being an example to me of great women of worth. And thank you for joining us. Please share this story. There's nothing like a great birth story in
Who doesn't
December.
love a birth story?
Who doesn't love a birth story in a
I agree.
minivan with angels,
Yes.
right?
I know.
I
Okay.
Amen to that.
Thank you all for joining. Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.